All right, beautiful people. Getting Facebook started. There we go. There we go. We are live in both places. All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. Let's go back and double check this. All right, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is October the 24th, 2021, day 284 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 952. Today, y'all, we're reading Psalm chapter 20 through, 25 today. And then we're going to start our new book, which I forgot to grab from upstairs. Give me one quick second. Levine, blessing, stream sky love. Good morning. 1 minute. Let me get the book, y'all. All right, y'all. Okay. I'm back. Had to run and get the book real quick. Okay, so today, finally, we are starting the new book, which is the follow-up book to Caesar's Messiah. Right here. Let me catch my breath. Okay. It's called Shakespeare's Secret Messiah by Joseph Atwell. Same author. Right? Okay. When we get to it, I'll read the intro and the back of the book and everything, but I want to go ahead and get started. Catch my breath. Don't run up them stairs when we get that book. I meant to bring it down, and I said to myself, Pam, don't forget the book. Grab everything else. I should have put it over there with my phone so I wouldn't forget it. But of course, you can see I forgot it. Okay. Pulling up the shimmer. Tiffany come in. Yeah, on Facebook for some reason, a couple people were watching, but a lot of people didn't get the notification yesterday. They saw it afterwards, and they inboxed me and said they didn't get the notification. I told y'all Facebook be acting up sometimes. So I don't know. Hopefully, everybody check their notifications. Whatever. All right, y'all. The Shema is found in Deuteronomy Chapter 6, starting at verse 3. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our mighty one, as he has commanded us. Okay, y'all. Let's pull this up. All right, y'all. So we're going right to Psalm chapter 20. All right. Psalm chapter 20 is a psalm of David for the choir director. In times of trouble, may Yahuwah answer your cry. May the name of the God of Jacob keep you safe from all harm. May he send you help from his sanctuary and strengthen you from Jerusalem. May he remember all your gifts and look favorably on your burnt offerings. May he grant your heart's desire and make all your plans succeed. May we shout for joy when we hear of your victory and raise a victory banner in the name of our God. May Yahuwah answer all your prayers. Now I know that Yahuwah rescues his anointed king. He will answer him from his holy heaven and rescue him by his great power. Some nations boast of their chariots and horses, but we boast in the name of Yahuwah our God. Those nations will fall down and collapse, but we will rise up and stand firm. Give victory to our King, O Yah. Answer our cry for help. Next chapter, Psalm chapter 21. It's also for the choir director, and it's a psalm of King David. How the king rejoices in your strength, O Yah. He shouts with joy because you give him victory. For you have given him his heart's desire. You have withheld nothing he requested. You welcome him back with success and prosperity. You place a crown of finest gold on his head. He asked you to preserve his life, and you granted his request. The days of his life stretch on forever. Your victory brings him great honor, and you have clothed him with splendor and majesty. You have endowed him with eternal blessings and given him the joy of your presence. For the king's trust in Yahuwah, the unfailing love of the Most High will keep him from stumbling. You will capture all your enemies. Your strong right hand will seize all who hate you. You will throw them in a flaming furnace when you appear. Yahuwah will consume them in his anger. Fire will devour them. You will wipe their children from the face of the earth. They will never have descendants. Although they plot against you, their evil schemes will never succeed. For they will turn and run when they see your arrows aimed at them. Rise up, O Yah, in all your power. With music and singing, we celebrate your mighty acts. Psalm chapter 22. It's also for the choir director. It's a psalm of David to be sung to the tune Doe of the Dawn. D-O-E, Doe of the Dawn. D-A-W-N. Okay. My God, why have you abandoned me? Why are you so far away when I groan for help? Every day I call to you, Yah, but you do not answer. Every night I lift my voice, but I find no relief. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you rescued them. They cried out to you, and you were saved. They trusted in you, and you were never disgraced. But I am a worm and not a man. I am scorned and despised by all. Everyone who sees me mocks me. They sneer and shake their heads, saying, Is this the one who relies on Yahuwah? Then let Yahuwah save him. If Yahuwah loves him so much, let Yahuwah rescue him. Yet you brought me safely from my mother's womb and led me to trust you at my mother's breast. I was thrust into your arms at birth. You have been my God from the moment I was born. Do not stay so far from me, for trouble is near, and no one else can help me. My enemies surround me like a herd of bulls. Fierce bulls of Bashan have hemmed me in. Like lions, they open their jaws against me, roaring and tearing into their prey. My life is poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, melting within me. My strength has dried up like sun-baked clay. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You have laid me in the dust and left me for dead. My enemies surround me like a pack of dogs. An evil game closes in on me. They have pierced my hands and feet. I can count all my bones. My enemies stare at me and gloat. They divide my garments among themselves and throw dice for my clothing. O Yahuwah, do not stay far away. You are my strength. Come quickly to my aid. Save me from the sword. Spare my precious life from these dogs. Snatch me from the lion's jaws and from the thorns of these wild oxen. I will proclaim your holy name to my brothers and sisters. I will praise you among your assembled people. Praise Yahuwah, all you who fear him. Honor him, all you descendants of Jacob. Show him reverence, all you descendants of Israel, for he has not ignored or belittled the suffering of the needy. He has not turned his back on them, but he has listened to their cries for help. I will praise you in the great assembly. I will fulfill my vows in the presence of those who worship you. The poor will eat and be satisfied. All who seek Yahuwah will praise him. Their hearts will rejoice with everlasting joy. The whole earth will acknowledge that Yahuwah is Lord and return to him. All the families of the nations will bow down before him, for royal power belongs to Yahuwah. He rules all the nations. Let the rich of the earth feast and worship, bow before him, all who are mortal, all whose lives will end as dust. Our children will also serve him. Future generations will hear about the wonders of Yahuwah. His righteous acts will be told to those not yet born. They will hear about everything he has done. Next chapter, y'all, Psalm chapter 23. It's a Psalm of David. Everybody should be familiar with this one. Shucks, we should all know this one by heart, right? Yahuwah is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows and leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessing. Surely your goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of Yahuwah forever. Psalm chapter 24, a Psalm of David. The earth is Yahuwah's and everything in it. The world and all its people belong to him. For he laid the earth's foundations on the seas and built it on the ocean depths. Who may climb the mountain of Yahuwah? Who may stand in his holy place? Only those whose hands and hearts are pure and who do not worship idols and never tell lies. They will receive Yahuwah's blessing and have a right relationship with Yahuwah, their Savior. Such people may seek you and worship in your presence, O God of Jacob. Open up ancient gates, open up ancient doors, and let the King of glory enter. Who is the King of glory? Yahuwah, strong and mighty. Yahuwah, invincible in battle. Open up ancient gates and let the King of glory enter. Who is the King of glory? Yahuwah, the God of heaven's armies. He is the King of glory. Jeg, shalom, shalom. Last chapter for today, y'all. Psalm chapter 25, a Psalm of David. O Yahuwah, I give my life to you. I trust in you, my God. Do not let me be disgraced or let my enemies rejoice in my defeat. No one who trusts in you will ever be disgraced, but disgrace comes to those who try to deceive others. Show me the right path, O Yah. Point out the road for me to follow. Lead me by your truth and teach me, for you are the God who saves me. All day long I put my hope in you. Remember, O Yah, your compassion and unfailing love, which you have shown from long ages past. Do not remember the rebellious sins of my youth. Remember me in the light of your unfailing love, for you are merciful, O Yah. Yahuwah is good and does what is right. He shows the proper path to those who go astray. He leads the humble in doing right, teaching them his way. Yahuwah leads with unfailing love and faithfulness all who keep his covenant and obey his demands. For the honor of your name, O Yah, forgive my many, many sins. Who are those who fear Yahuwah? He will show them the path they should choose. They will live in prosperity, and their children will inherit the land. Yahuwah is a friend to those who fear him. He teaches them his covenant. My eyes are always on Yahuwah, for he rescues me from the traps of my enemies. Turn to me and have mercy, for I am alone and in deep distress. My problems go from bad to worse. Oh, save me from them all. Feel my pain and see my trouble. Forgive all my sins. See how many enemies I have and how viciously they hate me. Protect me. Rescue my life from them. Don't let me Don't let me be disgraced, for in you I take refuge. My integrity and honesty protect me, for I put my hope in you. O God, ransom Israel from all its troubles. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. Let's see, let me minimize this. Bring this up. All right, y'all. So if you have it, very good. If not, and you don't want to get it, doesn't matter. I'm reading it, right? You know, I'm not sure if there is. I didn't check either. I didn't check. I'm not sure if it's an audible version of this. This book is also just as thick as Caesar's Messiah. It's 400 and without the index added. It's 447 pages, and actually those few it has the so without the bibliography and the index, it's a nice good little bibliography too. Without the bibliography and the index is 438 pages, but I think I might read the bibliography to y'all too. Well, we're gonna see all of the references, but I think I'm gonna read these just so y'all can oh, these are some good little references. Yeah, when we get to the end. Oh, these are good. I'll read them. Quite a few pages. I'll just read the names of the books and not like all the numbers and pages and all this stuff. You'll see that reference throughout the reading. Okay, y'all, so let me read the back of this. This is Shakespeare's Secret Messiah by Joseph Atwell, same author that wrote Caesar's Messiah. This is a follow-up when we learned about the origins of Christianity and who created Christianity, how they created Christianity, right? How they stole, swap, use typology, all those good things, right? This is the follow-up. So I'm going to read the back. Atwell's insights challenge forever how we understand Jesus, the Apostle Paul, and Shakespeare. With his best-selling book, Caesar's Messiah, Joseph Atwell established himself as one of the world's most penetrating, independent scholars, rocking the field of biblical studies and changing our modern understanding of Jesus and the Gospels forever. He uncovered what has been kept hidden from the public for millennia. Christianity began as a highly complex psychological warfare campaign during the First Jewish-Roman War, an ambitious literature project began by the Caesars that was later honed into a potent tool of statecraft used to this day by the oligarchy for mass pacification. Shakespeare's Secret Messiah is the forceful follow-up that could take the whole of Shakespearean scholarship in a new direction. Continuing his expose on the New Testament, revealing who really wrote the letters of Apostle Paul and the book of Revelation, Atwell demonstrates that the thrust behind the famous playwright's work was to wreak literary revenge, measure for measure, against the deception of the Caesars. The Bard's hidden war on the Roman Catholic Church, encoded in puzzle pages in the plays, is the key that finally unlocks the true identity of Shakespeare, explaining why the real author chose to hide behind a pseudonym and why other anti-Stratfordian theorists have been looking in the wrong place. Atwell shows step by step how to decrypt familiar works of literature that the average person is expected to revere but not really understand, giving the reader the skills to recognize the true political struggles that have been commemorated in a shadowland of symbols guarded by the ruling classes and in secret societies. Oh, that's gonna be good, y'all. Yahuwah is one. Peace and blessings. All right, y'all. So yeah, it's gonna, if you haven't gotten the book or you downloaded like the Kindle version, like I said, I'm not sure if it's on Audible, but I'll check it today. You you might already know that Shakespeare is not who they taught us Shakespeare was, right? And who Shakespeare really was. And Shakespeare's identity will be uncovered in here, right? It's taking you through the same thing. And this is still talking about the New Testament, y'all, right? It's still the follow up, it's still revealing these things. But he's using this, he's showing you how this just permeated the entire culture during that time and why they did this. And this is actually a big piece of the puzzle as well. So you can see some stuff, right? Okay. I wish to thank the many people who helped with the creation of this manuscript, but three I most note directly. My wife for her good advice and forbearance, Ryan Gilmore for his courage and creativity, and Jerry Russell for his edits and original insights. It is called Alicia Shakespeare's Secret Messiah. It's by the same author of Caesar's Messiah, Joseph Atwell. And I'll be leaving the link for the new book today. Right. And I think I think I'm just add, well, no, it's enough of the videos with Caesar's Messiah info in there. But I probably will put this as a follow-up to Caesar's Messiah still with the link so you can look at it. But anyway, I was about to say something. It'll come back to me. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go through here and I'm gonna read the table of contents, y'all. I'm so excited about this. Like the last half of this book is dedicated to the book of Revelation. Daniel, Revelation. Those my books, G. Look. Oh, okay, look. Okay. Table of contents. Introduction is a review of Caesar's Messiah. Then I'm gonna just go through here and read the little chapters, the little subsections under the chapter. So you have Judea and the cycle of rebellion against Roman rule, Christianity before the Flavians and the Jewish rebellion of 66 CE. The Flavian origins theory is straight, talking common sense. What about the martyrs? Literary imitation, typology and enigma, sense of humor required, the gospel's dependency on Josephus's knowledge of Christianity, which is the Deus Mundus puzzle, the problem of plausible deniability and the smoking gun fallacy, fishing for men, the demons of Gadara, destruction of Jerusalem, prophecy and fulfillment, the woe saying Jesus, Lazarus, the human Passover lamb, and the Last Supper, the new root and branch. Is Atwell guilty of parallelomia? Parallelomia, right? So that's in the introduction, which if you were here for Caesar's Messiah, those subsection titles sound very familiar with you. So it's giving a review of Caesar's Messiah, right? And then the first chapter is called Shakespeare Decoded. And the subsections in that chapter is the reversal, the symbolic level in Shakespeare, the Flavian comic system, Shakespeare, the perfect Gentile, the search for Shakespeare, Edward de Vere, Earl of Oxford, William Stanley, Earl of Derby, Mary Sidney Herbert, Marlowe and the beginning of the counterattack. Then the next chapter is Marlowe's The Jew of Malta. And then it's 3, Titus Andronicus. Then chapter 4, Emilia Bassano, and the subsections under that is the Bassano family, the Bassanos and the music of the plays and Emilia's identity, the Shakespearean project, and Emilia as the Dark Lady. Then you have chapter 5, Salve Deus Rex Judaeorum. Chapter 6, A Trifling Strand from Pliny to Shakespeare. Chapter 7, Romeo and Juliet. Chapter 8, Hamlet. Chapter 9, The Merchant of Venus. Chapter 10, Domitian's Trinity in Acts. And under that is the Vesica Pisces. Then chapter 11, Revelation and Domitian's imperial cult, right? And so all the subsections under here, all the little mini chapters You got Revelation 1, the prologue, then greetings and the doxology, one like the Son of Man. Then Revelation chapter 2, the church in Ephesus, the church in Smyrna, the church in Pergamum, the church in Thyatira. Revelation chapter 3, the church in Sardis, to the church of Philadelphia, to the church of Laodicea. Revelation chapter 4, the throne in heaven. Revelation chapter 5, the scroll and the lamb. Revelation chapter 6, the seven seals. Revelation chapter 7, 144,000 sealed. The great multitude in white robes. Then you go all the way through the next chapters of Revelation. It's breaking out each chapter of Revelation, y'all. Revelation 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Then chapter 7 is the seven seals and the Pauline letters. Then chapter 13 is the ass-headed Christ. The subsection under that is against Apion, book number 2. Then there's the servant's commentary. Then chapter 14 is the scope of Roman planning, rabbinical Judaism. Then chapter 15 is the conclusion of the entire book. Then we have the epilogue, the bibliography, and the index, right? And now I would say we will get through this just as fast as we did Caesar's Messiah, right? Okay, so where we at? We'll probably have enough time just to get through the introduction today. And also for the videos that I did, y'all, while I was on vacation all last week, they don't have the titles and stuff, but I'll get that updated, all of the videos updated in the next couple of days. Because when I say we were like rolling every day, and I really didn't have the time to go back and add my titles and stuff, simply because like as soon as I got off my video, all right, we got to get all the kids dressed and we get to rolling them. You know, it's a bunch of us, right? Well, one child, but really, we just got to coordinate, make sure nobody's off up in the corner playing the game or something. You're supposed to be getting dressed, like all that. Didn't have any time because we had like a whole itinerary we were following while we were going. It was our first big family vacation in a few years. I want to say since Bella was born. This was Bella's first time actually seeing her grandparents like face to face. We've been FaceTiming, but the last time we've been there, it's been at least, Isaiah is 7, about 6 years, y'all. 6 years since all our other children and seeing their grandparents and everything. But I'm gonna get that updated, all the previous videos, the ones that I did while we was on vacation. I get the titles and stuff updated for that. This introduction is long. We ain't gonna finish the introduction today, y'all. We definitely not. Hold on. Okay, so we're gonna start the introduction today, and I'm trying to keep my videos to the hour mark, so we'll be stopping before the hour mark, so I can go ahead and get everything closed out and do the blessing. And I want to keep them at an hour, right? Okay, so I'm getting better about my time, y'all. All right, introduction. A review of Caesar's Messiah by Jerry Russell, PhD. In Caesar's Messiah, Joseph Atwell showed that the Flavian Caesars, Vespasian, and Titus invented Christianity. That is, the religion we know as Roman Catholicism. Remarkably, the emperors left behind a veiled confession or a boast of their work, embedded in the Gospels and the works of Josephus. The religion was invented as wartime propaganda, primarily targeted at Hellenistic Jews of the diaspora and at the Gentiles who were being approached by Jewish evangelists. This covert act of psychological warfare was successful beyond the Romans' wildest dreams. Even today, the dominant view is that Christianity arose in humble circumstances and grew to massive proportions while being driven by a variety of philosophical and religious trends, if not by Yahuwah himself. Now, I'm going to read this like it is, right? When he says God, I'm going to say God, right? Hold on. This covert act of psychological warfare was successful beyond the Romans' wildest dreams. Even today, the dominant view is that Christianity arose in humble circumstances and grew to massive proportions while being driven by a variety of philosophical and religious trends, if not by God himself. However, As Atwell pointed out, quote, as Christianity describes its origins, it was not only supernatural, but also historically illogical. Christianity, a movement that encouraged pacifism and obedience to Rome, claims to have emerged from a nation engaged in a century long struggle with Rome. An analogy to Christianity's purported origins might be a cult established by Polish Jews during World War II that set up its headquarters in Berlin and encouraged its members to pay taxes to the Third Reich. That's and in parentheses it has 29. So yeah, that's reference 29 in the back, right? So I know it should start at 1, but this right here, the quote comes from the reference that's number 29 in the back. Atwell's new findings, Atwell's new finding is that the Shakespearean literature was a deliberately veiled attack against the Flavian humor in the New Testament and the works of Josephus. In other words, Atwell has discovered another hidden genre of literature that connects first century Judea and Rome to 16th century Elizabethan England. Mom, shalom, shalom. When Atwell's published Caesar's when Atwell published Caesar's Messiah, he was concerned that his work not be seen. He was concerned that his work not be seen as anti-Christian, but rather that it would help Christians as well as others to see how Christianity was manipulated by its elite creators for their own benefits. With this new work, there is a concern that Atwood could be seen as anti-Semitic as well, as his portrayal of Shakespeare as Jewish revenge literature is hardly flattering to the bard. However, Atwell would be horrified if his work is ever misused as a tool for those who would perpetrate the cycle of religious hate and revenge portrayed in the Shakespearean project. On the contrary, it is clear from his works that his hope is that humanity, by understanding the origins of these ancient wounds and ancient hatreds, can learn to overcome them, and that the people, regardless of their ethnic background or religious beliefs, can achieve the benefits of a more functional democracy that transcends the cycle of violence and genocide. This volume also offers important new insights into the Third Flavian Empire, Domitian, and his role in the Flavian conspiracy. Atwell argues that Domitian contributed to the single strand of typology shared by the Gospels and Shakespeare by inventing the Roman Catholic conception of the Trinity and a fictional character named Paul. Ironically, it was Atwell's studies of Shakespeare that led him to this insight. Shakespeare's muse, Christopher Marlowe, understood the real origins of Christianity as well and spelled out his views in unmistakable terms. For example, Marlowe put the following words into the mouth of his character, Barabbas, a wealthy Jewish merchant in The Jew of Malta. Quote, Barabbas, in spite of these swine eating Christians, unchosen nation, never circumcised, poor villains, such as were nearer thought upon till Titus and Vespasian conquered us, am I become as wealthy as I was. End quote. And that's it has in parentheses volume 2, page 3 in this book, The Jew of Malta. Okay. With these words, Marlowe's character categorically denied the conventional wisdom that Christians were first thought upon as much as 40 years earlier during the reign of Tiberius. As to how Barabbas arrived at this understanding, we can only speculate. Indeed, in terms of evidence for the Flavian origins of Christianity theory, Shakespeare and Marlowe obviously can only contribute as a very late secondary source at the end of a long problematic chain of custody. Hold on. Okay. Indeed, in terms of evidence for the Flavian origins of Christianity theory, Shakespeare and Marlowe obviously can only contribute as a very late secondary source at the end of a long and problematic chain of custody of the information. Regardless, this book will show that Shakespeare shared Atwell and Barabbas's view that the Christians were ne'er thought upon, or that might not be near, or it's NE apostrophe ER. So maybe that's never, right? This old day, like old English or something type talk. Near, I think it's never, right? There's just missing a D. Hold on. Regardless, this book will show that Shakespeare shared Atwell and Barabbas's view that the Christians were ne'er thought upon until the Flavians invented them. Those who were inclined, yeah, that's never. They were never thought about until the Flavians invented them. Okay. Those who are inclined to dismiss Atwell as a conspiracy theorist will be surprised to learn that Shakespeare and Marlowe were also a part of that club. And although it is not necessary to agree with Atwell's theory of the authorship of the New Testament, it is at least necessary to understand the literary bias for the theory, because Shakespeare is built on that same bias. Thus, this introduction is a review of his earlier findings to provide the necessary background for the reader to understand his new research. Although Atwell's work is often and rightly seen as strikingly original, it should also be seen within the context of the theory of the Roman origins of the New Testament, which has much deeper roots. Bruno Bauer suggested as early as the 1840s that the New Testament is characteristically Hellenistic and Roman rather than Judean. Sorry, that was reference one, right? This last sentence. Albert Ruchin, reference two, and Cliff Kerrigan, which is reference three, speculated that the Flavian emperors, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian, might have been specifically responsible. And those three references, 1, 2, and 3, those three names actually gives us three references right down here, right? So the Bruno Bauer book was Christ and the Caesars, the origin of Christianity from Romanized Greek culture, right? That was written in 1998 by A. Devonis. The reference to it was talking about Albert Ruchin and Hebel v. Greek, and the name of the book is The True Authorship of the New Testament, which we read, right? That was a little short pamphlet that we read before we even read Caesar's Messiah, and I think it took us 2 days to read it, right? So that's that. That was written in 1979. And then you have the third reference for Cliff Kerrigan, Kerrigan's Classical and Christian Library, and it gives a website. And that was access the 26th of February in 2014 to pull that information from, right? Shayla, hey girl, hey, Kirk, shalom, right? All right, y'all. Atwell's contribution to the Flavian origins theory was his discovery of a carefully constructed literary subtext that links the New Testament and the works of Josephus into a comic typological and theological system. Within this system, the biblical Jesus is seen as both prophesying and foreshadowing the true arrival of the Messianic Son of God in the military campaign of the Emperor Titus and his destruction of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Atwell was baffled as to why the subtext had gone unnoticed for so long, even though, as he pointed out, the works that reveal their satire, the New Testament, and the histories of Josephus are perhaps the most scrutinized books in literature. And that's reference 10. It has number 10. Okay, in parentheses. His new discovery is that at least Shakespeare also knew a fact that he finds reassuring. However, for the skeptical reader, the mystery is only compounded. If there is anything that can compete with the New Testament and Josephus as the most scrutinized books in literature, it must surely be the works of Shakespeare. Atwell is asking his readers to believe Not only that his occultic reading of the Gospels has been hidden in plain sight for 2 millennia, but that it also somehow became the hidden inspiration for the bard's most famous plays, and then sunk back into the depths of obscurity again, only to be rediscovered now when the truth can finally be spoken in straightforward language without any typological veil, punning, or impenetrable sarcasm. For many readers, this will be a tough pill to swallow. The claims put forward in Caesar's Messiah have generated a great deal of interest, but have also encountered great resistance. At a most basic level, the accusation leveled by Atwell's critics is that the entire system he proposes is nothing but a figment of his own imagination, a product of parallelomia. Furthermore, critics note Atwill is a rather unlikely person to have made such a discovery. Although having studied Greek and Latin at a Jesuit school in Japan in his youth, he did not study any related subject in college, and his career was in the field of computer software. Only later in life did he return to his youthful preoccupation with New Testament studies. Atwood reports that the Dead Sea Scrolls were crucial in recalibrating his understanding of the historical millennia that gave rise to the New Testament. Many crucial aspects of the scrolls were not unveiled to the public until 1991 at the instigation of Atwell's friend and colleague, Robert Eisman, who suggested that a Roman hand was at work in the New Testament. Eisman's work, for example, see the book James, the Brother of Jesus, and the New Testament Code, was an important influence at Atwell's discoveries. That's reference 4. So perhaps Atwell is not such an unlikely pioneer after all, with a love of the field, the freedom to think radically and creatively without fear of repercussions to his career, and with connections going to the vanguard of the New Testament scholarship at this exciting juncture. He is a formidable advocate for the Flavian origins hypothesis. I can definitely see how a computer software engineer could understand and reveal the details of the like the New Testament, this entire farce, right? Because think about what computer software engineers do. They have to be very detailed. They're troubleshooting software all the time. They're going through, they're building, they're deconstructing, they're going through trial and error, see what's working, why it's not working, if this is not working, or this output is coming out, it had to be put in somewhere, right? So all these details and the way your mind have to work in order to build software engineer would be the perfect field to have gone in and spent years in, then come back to being able to do that same thing. The principle is the same. You're doing the same exact thing with that computer software. That same thought process. You need that same type of thought process to deconstruct the New Testament and all the lies and uncover everything, right? He was in the best field he could have ever been in. All right, next little section, Judea and the cycle of rebellion against Roman rule. During the historical period surrounding the alleged life and times of the biblical Jesus, Judea was, in reality, at the epicenter of an epic, violent conflict between the Roman Empire and the adherents of a virulently radical form of Messianic Judaism. The roots of the conflict date back earlier to the age when the zealous Maccabees, also known as the Hasmoneans, rebelled against the Seleucids, the remnants of Alexander the Great's Hellenistic Empire, and achieved an uneasy independence in 164 BCE. In 63 BCE, the Romans invaded Judea, and the Maccabees became Roman clients. A family of foreigners from Edom in Arabia eventually usurped the role of the Maccabees as Romans' clients and tax farmers in Judea. The rise of this Herodian regime began when Antipater, born as an Edomite nobleman whose family had allegedly converted to Judaism, insinuated himself into Maccabean politics while simultaneously currying favor with the Romans. Antipater was born, I'm sorry, Antipater was appointed Roman procurator of Judea under Julius Caesar, 47 BCE, and his son Herod became the governor of Galilee, while the Hasmoneans continued to hold the office of high priest. The Jewish people and their Hasmonean spiritual leaders were deeply hostile to Roman and Herodian rule, and in 40 BCE, they revolted under the leadership of Antigonus II Matthias, who forged an alliance with the Parthians. However, Herod put down the revolt with the help of Roman armies. The Roman Senate awarded Herod the title of King of the Jews, and Antigonus was sent to Mark Antony for execution in 37 BCE. It is important to note that at this juncture, the Roman strategy of employing Hasmoneans under their control as high priests had ended in ignominious failure. From that point forward, Herod the Great and his successors appointed the high priest of Jerusalem from among their cronies. There was no way to hide the massive spiritual and nationalistic divide between the people of Palestine and the Herodians, who were hated Roman proxies. It was a problem that cried out for a solution. The next section, Christianity before the Flavians. The true course of the events in Palestine during the 100 years between the Roman and Herodian takeover, which was completed in 37 BCE, and the end of the Jewish War in 73 CE, has always been a highly speculative topic which scholarship is unlikely to resolve. In fact, an essential aspect of Atwell's work is to show that the New Testament and the works of Josephus must both be regarded as Roman propaganda, and that treating these documents as factual reporting can only lead to serious analytical errors. Yet, these same documents are viewed as far and away the most comprehensive. I'm sorry, hold on. Yet these same documents are viewed as far and away the most comprehensive and most primary sources that we have available for that entire historical epoch. Recovering the history of first century Judea is, therefore, a matter of judiciously paring away the layers of propaganda from Josephus and the New Testament with the assistance of supplementary, sometimes complementary, sometimes contradictory information provided by archaeology, source criticism, and other ancient sources. In Caesar's Messiah, Atwell wrote this, let me quote it. In Caesar's Messiah, Atwell wrote, quote, "This imperial family, the Flavians, invented Christianity," end quote. By this, he meant that the Flavians and their court intellectuals created the religion in the form that we know it and wrote the Gospels as they have come down to us. However, this does not mean that they invented the religion as an entirely new creation, like Venus emerging from the sea foam as a fully grown woman. On the contrary, Flavian Christianity certainly had its precedents. Robert M. Price's review of Caesar's Messiah complained that, quote, there is way too much else in any and all of the gospel texts that cannot be dismissed, really neglected as mere paddling ballast, which is all it would be if Atwell is right, end quote. However, this was a misunderstanding of Atwell's position. He accepts the fact that the extant Gospels were written by several individuals in different times and places, and he would certainly agree that the Gospels were written with many earlier sources in mind. At a philosophical and inspirational level, the sources of the Flavian Gospels may have included Philo, Seneca, Pythagoras, and other Stoics and Cynics, Homer, Gilgamesh, and all the Hellenistic mystery cults of the Mediterranean region, and the astrotheological myths and ancients. Sorting all of this out is a Herculean task that has consumed many scholarly life forms and no doubt will consume many more. However, None of this analysis can account for the specific historical circumstances and events that caused the Christian religion to take the particular form that it did. Similarly, redaction criticism can identify the common source materials that were used by the four canonical evangelists, but they cannot tell us the entire contents of those sources, much less identify their ideological motivations or biases. The search for the original sources of the Gospels, along with the search for the historical Jesus, is often a spiritually driven quest. That is, once the seeker is convinced that Christianity has been corrupted, whether by Paul or by Flavian influences, or by the papacy, or by modernity, the modern times, modernity, the goal becomes to recover the purity of the message that was originally delivered by the revered prophet. In terms of its spiritual value, however, the enthusiasm for this quest may be misplaced, as there is no guarantee that the original message is recoverable or that the prophet had any unique wisdom to impart in the first place. My interest is more from a historical point of view to understand the dynamics of religious development and the interplay of elite and populist forces in this process. In his book, Did Jesus Exist?, Bart Ehrman gave the following summary of scholarly opinion about the historical Jesus. Quote, there are several points on which virtually all scholars of antiquity agree. Jesus was a Jewish man, known to be a preacher and teacher, who was crucified, which is a Roman form of execution, in Jerusalem during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius, when Pontius Pilate was the governor of Judea. End quote. And that's reference 5. If such a person did exist, he was certainly living within the historical milieu of that time and interacting with the forces that were prevalent. To understand that environment, I recommend the works of Robert Eisman and also the highly readable summary and review of his work written by Andrew Gauld, who wrote, quote, by careful distillation, Eisman is able to exhume the lost voice of the defeated rebellion, which, while it did leave some traces in the New Testament, now speaks directly and forcefully to us through the Dead Sea Scrolls. Many scholars recognize that the ideological conflict between James and Paul is the engine that drives the entire New Testament, but Eisman is able to show that this conflict is identical to the one between Jewish nationalists and the Roman-backed Herodian state, which erupted into the conflagration of the Jewish war over exactly the same issues debated by James and Paul, end quote, and that's reference 6. Gould's review goes on to identify the driving issues behind this ideological conflict, which encompass not only Judea, but also the entire Mediterranean region. Whenever far-flung trading networks controlled by prosperous Jewish merchants and tradesmen of the diaspora competed with their Hellenistic counterparts. On the other side, the zealots, Sicarii, and radical Essenes of the rebellion, rooted in the nationalist tradition of the Maccabees, were concerned about circumcision, the purity of sacrifices, and the presence or absence of foreign idols in the temple. The Hellenistic elites' practices of niece marriage and sister marriage and intercourse during menstruation, all of which the zealots viewed as fornication, the purity of dietary practices, the plight of the poor, pitted against the predations of the rich, and the doctrine of salvation by works as well as by faith. On the other side, the Herodians and their allies sought to develop tolerant cosmopolitan attitudes in order to facilitate the greatest possible integration with the broader Roman and Hellenistic world. Eisman recognized several episodes in the New Testament that appear to be parodies of historical incidents as they were described in Josephus and other sources. From this, He concludes that the biblical characters, James and Simon Peter, are also likely to be parodies of the real leaders of the Jewish rebellion. In Caesar's Messiah, Atwell reaches a similar conclusion and also offers the view that another important rebel leader and possibly a Messiah figure to the rebels was the character Eleazar. And we're going to pause right here, y'all, for today. Sticking with my time. Shalom, Tanya 3000. All right, beautiful people. Let me put this down right here. All right, y'all. So, quick recap. It is Sunday, October the 24th, 2021, day 284 of year 3 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 952. We read Psalms chapter 20 through 25, and we just started the follow-up book to Caesar's Messiah, which is Shakespeare's Secret Messiah by the same author, Joseph Atwell, right? And we read pages 1 through page 17. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. Look at my little, my little sticky. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. We'll probably be reading this introduction for the next couple days, y'all, because it's really long, because it's giving a summary over Caesar's Messiah. He did it in a way just in case those who didn't read Caesar's Messiah, they could get the gist of everything in the introduction chapter, which is why it's so long. But they do recommend that you actually go back and read Caesar's Messiah so you can get all the details, because as some of this stuff started coming up, I was reading some of the reviews, and a lot of people they didn't go read Caesar's Messiah first. It was hard for them to kind of understand some things. But when you, like I said, you read that first and go in, everything just flows together. I don't see us having any kind of problem keeping on with what we've been learning. Joy, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. So with that being said, remember, I'll put the link and everything. If you want to get your copy, you don't have to. I ain't getting paid for this. I'm just doing this of my own free will, reading this to y'all, making sure y'all understand what's really going on here in this world. Right? Okay. All right. Who is calling me? Hold on, y'all. This is my son. I'm gonna call him right back. Call him right back. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the blessing. Tootie baby ain't gonna end it today because she's still asleep. We got back in yesterday. They tired, boss. And then they got in here and stayed up all night. They tired, and I'm gonna let them sleep. All right, y'all. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, starting in verse 22 through 27. But remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow, right? Man or woman can take it. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Okay. All right, beautiful people. Okay. Yeah, I got to call my son back. All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce.